Hello and welcome to Slightly Nostalgic. My name is Griff and we have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 2, Episode 4, The Return to Omashu. This one picks up right where the previous one left off, where Omashu has been taken over by the Fire Nation and Aang and friends have to get all the citizens out. They come up with a plan to fake an epidemic of pentapox, a fake illness, and they get all of the Earth Kingdom citizens safely out of the city. And they accidentally kidnap the toddler, and then there's like a hostage negotiation and whatever. So, first of all, I don't know who these creepy old ladies are that are always following Azula around, but there's like these twin old ladies who are her mentors or something. I don't know what they are, but they just talk to her sometimes. And I guess they're training her. I don't know. They're advisors. I don't know who they are. But they're creepy. So this episode seems to mostly be just setting up the evil girl trio team, right? Where Azula is gathering her friends. I guess they're like her friends. They make it seem like they're old friends from high school or something, but Azula's like, what, 15, 16, something like that? She's younger than Zuko, I think, unless they're twins. I can't remember. I think she's younger though. But it's kind of weird because Ty Lee doesn't really want to join. She just gets bullied into it. And I'm not sure if Ty Lee knew exactly that Azula was doing the things during Ty Lee's show to make it more dangerous. And I don't know why Ty Lee would just be like, okay, I'm on your side. I'll just fight for you and do whatever, risk my life for you because you were bullying me into it or something. Like, how is that? How are they friends? What is even going on here? It was strange. And then May just joins up because she's bored. I don't know. At this point, she doesn't really seem to care about anything. She's just like an emo girl who doesn't like where her family has made her move to, and she doesn't really care when her little brother gets kidnapped. She doesn't really seem to have any actual emotions. Just a strange character at this point. I like this character later on, but right now she's just like, there's just nothing there. So the way they get the Earth Kingdom citizens out of the city is they fake this mass epidemic of pentapox where they use the leeches to put marks on their faces or whatever, and then they basically just stage a big zombie apocalypse. They have them all like just shambling out there, and for some reason this works. Like, I guess the Fire Nation didn't care if the citizens were still there. They weren't actually trying to take over the citizens, just the city itself. I still don't completely understand what the point is here of this whole war. I don't understand what the Fire Nation is trying to do. But I did like the running joke where people kept saying, pentapox, oh, I think I've heard of that. Like, didn't your cousin Chen die from that or something like that? Like, I like when they use the Fire Nation people in particular just as comedic relief, because they're the bad guys. That's not normally, like, shows don't normally do that. They don't show you like just the generic foot soldiers of the enemy just like having funny lines, you know? But I found a few parts of this episode a bit hard to believe. The suspension of disbelief is pretty hefty in this episode. Like, first of all, nobody was watching this toddler. They just left him up there in a room by a huge open window he could just crawl out of, like several stories up in the air. They just left him there. Like, of course he got kidnapped. You're the royal, or you're like a noble family. Come on, you can't even pay somebody to watch your toddler? And then during the hostage negotiation, it's pretty silly that it's a bunch of teenagers and kids in charge of the whole thing. Like, there are adults on both sides who could be handling this, and it kind of makes sense for Azula because she's a princess and her, like, she's the firebending prodigy, and the Fire Lord specifically sent her on this mission. He trusts her with armies and things like that. Sure, fine. And the other two are her friends. I guess the Fire Lord's okay with her just using her school friends to fight for the, like, I don't know, whatever. But then over on the other side, Aang and Katara and Sokka, like, there's adults over there who could help them, who could take over. And this is kind of a running thing throughout the show, where they encounter adults who help them, and then the adults just send them off on their own. Like, sure, go continue on with this super important mission where the fate of the world hangs in the balance here, but we're just gonna leave it to you kids. Good luck. Like, okay. But that's probably just a product of it being a kid's show, so what are you gonna do? I wasn't as impressed with the big fight scene at the end this time. I'm not sure why, because it was imaginative. It was a creative thing where they were like sliding through the things, and Azula was using her blue fire stuff, and they did a lot of cool stuff you hadn't seen before. But I did like that we now have some characters that don't have any bending abilities, but they're still competent fighters. Like Mei and Ty Lee can still do some really cool stuff without having firebending abilities. I really don't like Boomy though. Like, I was kind of on the fence about him, I think, in the first episode he was in, but in this one, it's like, your decisions here just don't make any sense. Why would you choose to stay locked up? I don't remember if this has a payoff later, but like, what's even going on here? Why you gotta be so crazy? I did like that Mei's parents were shown to be pretty sympathetic, even though they're high-ranking Fire Nation people. They don't really seem to have any malice toward anybody, and they did genuinely care about their son, despite not paying anybody to watch him to make sure he didn't fall out of a window. But, I mean, they seem like nice people who are just raising their family and doing their jobs. But we didn't get any Zuko at all. Like, there's really interesting stuff going on with Zuko and Iroh, and we got nothing for it. And like I said, this episode is mostly just setting up the girl trio, the evil girl trio, and well, I just didn't really care for it that much. But that's all I've got for this episode. The next one is The Swamp, kind of a trippy one. So thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Okay, bye.